are those who speak of a man bred from the world's deadliest criminals, raised by an exiled brotherhood of the church. Most believe his very existence, he is a necessary evil.
Who are you? What's your number?
47.
Hello guys, welcome back to another brand new movie review. Today I am talking about Hitman, a 2007 action movie based on the famous video game. And believe me, this movie is full of action, guns, mystery, and a very dangerous uh, assassin. So without wasting any time, let's start the movie. The movie introduces us to a man known only as Agent 47. He is not a normal man, he is a professional killer who works for a secret organization. He is claimed smart and very dangerous. He does not talk much, he does not show his emotions, and when he gets a mission, his only job is to complete it. Agent 47 always wears a black suit, a white shirt, and a red tie. His head is completely shaved, and he has a barcode tattoo on the back of his head. This look makes him very easy to recognize, but at the same time, he looks extremely powerful. At the beginning of the movie, we see Agent 47 preparing for one of his the biggest mission. His target is Michael Belikov, who is the president of Russia. Agent 47 carefully plans everything before tracking the suit. He does not rush, he watches the target, checks the location, and waits for the perfect moment. And finally, he gets his chance. From a distance, Agent 47 takes his sniper rifle and aims directly at Belikov. He takes the shot, and the target goes down. Mission complete. But then something very stranger happens. Agent 47 sees the news on television, and he notices something that should be impossible. The same president, Mikhail Belikov, is alive and standing in front of the cameras. Now, Agent 47 knows that something is serious wrong because he is completely sure that he killed Belikov. So the big question becomes, who did Agent 47 actually kill? And more importantly, who is trying to use Agent 47 for their own plan? For this point, the movie starts becoming more interesting because Agent 47 is no longer just hunting his target. Now he also has to find out the truth behind this entire conspiracy. And while he is trying to understand what is happening, the situation becomes even more complicated when he meets a woman named Nika Boronina. Nika is connected to Belikov, and she knows more about the situation than Agent 47 first realizes. But Agent 47 does not easily trust anyone. For him, everyone can be a possible threat. At the same time, the Russian authorities and a Interpol agent named Mike Vihitier are also trying to find Agent 47. So now we have three different sides in the story. Agent 47 is trying to understand the truth. The people behind the conspiracy are trying to control the situation, and the police are trying to catch Agent 47. And this is where the real game begins. As the story moves forward, we get to understand Agent 47 personality even better. He is not the type of character who gets scared easily, even when many people are chasing him. He stays completely calm. There is nothing I really liked about this character. Agent 47 does not waste time talking too much. When there is a problem, he simply finds a way to deal with it. For example, when enemies come after him, he does not just run away. He studies their movements, finds their weakness, and then attacks at the right moment. But the interesting part is that Agent 47 slowly starts to question his own mission. Normally, he simply follows orders, but this time things are different. The person he was supposed to kill is still alive. Someone has clearly changed the plan, and Agent 47 wants to know why. Meanwhile, Nika Boronina becomes an important part of his journey. She is not a fighter like Agent 47, but she becomes connected to him because she is also in danger. Agent 47 initially sees Nika as someone connected to his mission, but as they spend more time together, we start seeing a different side of him. He still looks cold and emotionless, but he slowly starts protecting Nika, and this is interesting because Agent 47 is supposed to be a professional killer. He is not supposed to care about anyone, but now for some reason he is putting himself in danger to keep Nika safe. At the same time, Mike VTR is following Agent 47 trial. He knows that Agent 47 is extremely dangerous, but he also starts realizing that there is something much bigger happening behind the scene. The movie keeps moving between these different characters, and slowly the mystery starts becoming bigger. Agent 47 is not only running from the police, he is trying to discover who betrayed him. And honestly, this is where the movie starts giving us some really good action scenes. Now, as the story moves forward, Agent 47 becomes the main target of almost everyone around him. The people who gave him the mission are no longer fully trusting him. The Russian authorities are looking for him. Interpol is following his every move, and at the same time, Agent 47 is trying to understand who is actually controlling this entire situation. And this is where the movie becomes much more interesting. Agent 47 knows that if he stays in one palace for too long, someone will find him, so he keeps moving from one location to another. But even when he is surrounded by enemies, he never looks nervous. He always stays calm, and I think this is one of the strongest things about his character. Most action heroes become angry when they are surrounded by enemies. They start shooting, running, and fighting without thinking. But Agent 47 is completely different. He thinks first, then he attacks, and when he finally decides to attack, he does it very quickly. There is a scene where Agent 47 is surrounded by armed men and instead of simply fighting everyone face to face, he uses the location around him. He looks for a advantage, wait for the right moment, and then takes down his enemies one by one. Now the movie moves forward as F-47 becomes the main target of almost everyone around him. The people who gave him the mission are no longer fully trusting him. The Russian authorities are looking for him. Interpol is following his every move, and at the same time, Agent 47 is trying to understand who is actually controlling this entire situation. And this is where the movie becomes much more interesting. Agent 47 knows that if he stay in one place for too long, someone will find him, so he keeps moving from one location to another. But even when he is surrounded by enemies, he never looks nervous. He always stays calm, and I think this is one of the strongest thing about this character. Most action heroes become angry when they are surrounded by enemies. They start shooting, running, and fighting without thinking. But Agent 47 is completely different. He thinks first, then he attacks, and when he finally decides to attack, he does it very quickly. There is a scene where Agent 47 is surrounded by armed men, and instead of simply fighting everyone face to face, he uses the location around him. He looks for a advantage, waits for the right moment, and then takes down his enemies one by one. This is exactly what makes him feel like a professional assassin. His weapons are also a big part of his character. We see him using pistols, rifles, and other weapons, but the most important thing is not the weapon itself, it is the way Agent 47 uses it. He never looks like he is fighting randomly, even short as a purpose. Every move feels planned, and because of this, even a simple action scene becomes more interesting. At the same time, Nika Boronina is still with him. Nika is scared because she know that the people involved in this situation can kill her at any moment. She does not completely understand Agent 47 either. Think about it. You are traveling with a man who is professional killer, and you know that he can kill someone without even thinking quick. Obviously you would be scared, but slowly Nika starts understanding that Agent 47 is not trying to hurt her. In fact, he is protecting her. Agent 47 does not say much about his feelings, but his actions show that he has started caring about what happens to her. And I really like this part because it gives the character a little more depth. Without Nekha, Azarford Shawn could have easily become just another action character who shoots people and walks away. But through Nika, we get to see that there is still some humanity inside him. He may have been trained to kill, so he may have spent his entire life following orders, but he is still capable of making his own decisions. And now, for the first time, he is starting to question those orders. Meanwhile, Mike Whittier is also getting closer to Agent 47. Mike is a Interpol agent and he understands that catching Agent 47 will not be easy. He knows that Agent 47 is not a ordinary criminal. He is a trained, intelligent and extremely careful. But Mike also starts realizing that Agent 47 may not be the real enemy. There is someone else behind everything, and this creates an interesting situation because Mike is chasing Agent 47 while Agent 47 is chasing the truth. Both men are looking at the same situation from completely different sides. Mike believes Agent 47 is responsible for the killings. Agent 47 knows that he was simply following the mission he was given, but now someone has changed the game, and the more Agent 47 investigates, the more dangerous things become. He starts finding small clues about the people who are actually behind the plan. These people are not interested in Agent 47 as a person, they only see him as a weapon that they can point at someone and use whenever they want. And this idea is actually very important to the movie. Agent 47 was created and trained to follow orders. He was thought to become the perfect assassin, but now he is slowly becoming a person who wants to make his own choice, and that creates a conflict inside his character. Should we continue following orders or should we start making his own decisions? This is something the movie keeps building throughout the story. Now, coming back to the action, there are many moments where Agent 47 shows exactly why he is so dangerous. He can enter a location without being noticed. He can change his appearance. He can use the environment around him, and he can disappear before anyone even understanding what happened. This is one of the reasons why I think the movie works best when it focuses on Agent 47, because the character has a very different style. He does not need to prove that he is strong. He simply walks into a situation, completes his objective, and walks away. And the way he walks, the way he looks at people, and even the way he talks makes him feel different from normal action movies. Heroes his body language is very controlled. There is almost no unnecessary movement. Even when someone points a gun at him, he does not immediately panic. He simply looks at the person like he already know how the situation is going to end, and that makes him look immune intimidating, but the movie also shows that Agent 47 is not unbeatable. There are people who can challenge him. There are moments when his plans do not go exactly as expected, and this makes the story more interesting because if Agent 47 could solve every problem instantly, there would be no real tension. The movie also spends time showing us how dangerous the people behind the conspiracy really are. They are playing a much bigger game. Politics, money, and power are all connected, and Agent 47 as unknowing become a part of this game. The interesting thing is that he does not really care about politics. He does not care who becomes president. He does not care about power. He only cares about completing his mission. But when he realized that someone has used him for a much bigger plan, he can't simply walk away because now his own life is also in danger, and this changes everything. Agent 47 starts tracking control of the situation himself. He stops being just the person who follows the mission. Now he becomes the person who decides what happens next, and this is where his relationship with Nika becomes even more important. Nika knows things that can help Agent 47 understand the situation, but at the same time, she is also being used by power people. So, Agent 47 has two problems. He has to protect Nika, and he has to find the people who are responsible for everything. And of course, the police are still behind him. His cre- creates several chase sequences where Agent 47 has to move quickly while making sure that Nika stays safe. But even during these moments, Agent 47 never completely loses control. He continues to think, he continues to make plan, and he continues moving forward his real target. Now Let's go deeper into the story of Hitman. The main character, Agent 47, is not a normal person. He was trained from a very young age to become a extremely skilled assassin. Because of this training, he has learned how to stay calm even when he is surrounded by danger. He does not panic easily and he always tries to understand the situation before making his next move. This makes him different from many other action movie heroes. Usually, when a hero gets into trouble, we see him becoming angry or emotional, but Agent 47 works in a completely different way. He looks at every situation like a professional, a strategist. He watches his enemies, understands their movements, and then decides what he needs to do. At the beginning of the movie, Agent 47 receives a important assignment. His target is Mikhail Belikov, a powerful Russian political agent. 47 successfully completes what appears to be a simple mission, but very soon the situation changes. The news reports that Belikov has survived the attack. This creates a health problem because Agent 47 knows that he completed his mission, so naturally he starts asking questions. If he really completed the mission, then how is Belikov still alive? This is the first major mystery of the movie. Agent 47 soon discovers that the situation is much bigger than he expected. He is not simply dealing with one target anymore. There are different groups involved, and every seem to have their own agenda. Some people want Agent 47 dead because they believe he has become a problem. Others want to use him for their own plans. This puts Agent 47 in a very dangerous position because he can't simply trust the information he receives, and this is one of the better part of the movie. Agent 47 is a professional killer, but the movie slowly puts him into a situation where he has to think beyond his original mission. He has to find out who is telling the truth and who is trying to manipulate him. The more he investigates, the more complicated the situation becomes. Instead of following orders blindly, Agent Fortune starts making his own decisions. This gives the character a little more depth. During this part of the story, we are also introduced to Nika Boronina, played by Olga. Nika becomes an important part of Agent 47 century journey. At first, their relationship is not based on trust. Agent 47 sees her as part of the mission, while Nika is simply trying to survive the dangerous situation around her. But as they spend more time together, Agent 47 begins to understand that Nika may not be the person he originally thought she was. This creates a interesting contrast between the two characters. Agent 47 is more emotional and frightened by the situation, Agent 47 has spent his entire life dealing with danger, but Nika has suddenly been pushed into a world filled with powerful people, secret plans, police officers, and assassination. So, while Agent 47 is trying to understand the larger plan, Nika is mostly trying to stay alive. Another important character is Mike Whittier, a FBI agent who becomes involved in the investigation. The police are trying to understand what happened around Bellikov's assassination, and Agent 47 becomes one of the main people they are looking for. Uh, this creates another problem for him. Now he has to deal with professional enemies as well as the police. The movie keeps between different situations. Agent 47 is being chased. He is trying to understand the truth, and at the same time, he has to protect himself from people who are trying to eliminate him. What makes this scene interesting is that Agent 47 does not behave like someone who is scared. Even when he is surrounded by enemies, he remains calm. He uses his environment, his weapons, his skills, and his intelligence to escape difficult situations. The action scenes are properly the biggest attraction of HITMAN. The movie gives Agent 47 several moments where we can see why he is considered such a dangerous assassin. He is not shown as someone who simply runs into a room and starts shooting everyone. He usually studies the situation first. He knows where the enemies are, where he can escape, and what he needs to do next. This makes his action scene feel different from a normal action hero. One thing that I especially like about Agent 47 is discipline. Even when people around him are losing control, he stays focused. He does not waste time with unnecessary conversations. His personality is almost like a machine, but the movie slowly starts showing us that there is still a human side hidden inside him. He may have been trained to kill, but that does not mean he has completely lost his ability to make his own choice. As the story continues, Agent 47 starts realizing that the mission he received was not as simple as it looked. There are people behind the scene who are controlling different events. The Association of Belikov is connected to a larger political plan, and Agent 47 has unknowingly become a part of that plan. This is where the movie becomes more of thriller instead of being only an action film. The movie also plays with the idea of identity. Agent 47 is known mainly by a number instead of a normal name. He was created and trained for one purpose, and that purpose is to become a perfect assassin. But when he starts making decisions that are not part of his original orders, we began to question what he really is. Is he only a weapon created by a original, or can he become his own person? That question gives the character some emotional value. Agent Agent 47 does not suddenly become a completely different person, and that is actually a good thing. He remains quiet and serious throughout the movie, but we can see small changes in the way he reacts to the people around him. His connection with Mika is on the main reason we see this side of him. At the same time, the people hunting Agent Fortune become more dangerous. They know his skills, they know how he operates, and they understand that simply standing ordinary man after him will not be enough. So Agent Fortune has to stay one step ahead every time it looks like he is trapped. He finds another way out, and this is where Timothy Olyphant's performance works well. He does not try to make as unfortunate overly emotional. Instead, he keeps the character quiet and controlled. His expressions are usually serious, and his body language makes it clear that Agent 47 is always thinking about his next move. For someone playing a character who does not talk much, this kind of performance is important. However, the movie also has some weakness. The story can become confusing because there are many characters and different groups involved. Sometimes the movie moves very quickly from one location to another, so the audience has to pay attention to understand who is working with whom. Some parts of the story also feel predictable easily if you have already watched many action thriller movies. Still, Hitman has a clear identity. It is not trying to be a comedy. It is not trying to become a very emotional drama. It focuses mainly on Agent 47, his mission, his enemies, and the dangers what around him. And if you are watching this movie mainly for the character of Agent 47, there are several moments that make the movie enjoyable. As an Agent 47 gets closer to the truth, the pressure around him continues to increase. The police are still searching for him. Powerful people are trying to control the situation, and Nika is catch in the middle of everything. Agent 47 now has to decide what his next move will be. Should he continue following the orders given to him, or should he trust his own judgment? And that decision becomes very important because from this point onward, the story starts moving toward its climax. The different storylines began to come together. The real information, the real intentions of the people behind the mission become clear, and Agent Fortune is forced into some of his most dangerous situations yet. So now let's continue with the final part of the story and see whether Agent 47 can finally complete his mission and escape from the people who are hunting him. Now the story becomes much more serious because Agent 47 is no longer simply trying to complete a normal assignment. He has started to understand that there is a much bigger plan. behind everything that happened. The people who gave him the original mission had their own revision, and Agent 47 slowly realized that he may have been used as a part of someone else's political game. This is important because until this point, Agent 47 has always followed orders. He receives a target, studies the situation, completes the mission, and moves on. But now the rules have changed. He can't simply trust the original that trained him. At the same time, Nika Borinina remains connected to Agent 47. Their relationship is interesting because it does not suddenly become a normal friendship. Agent 47 is still a very quiet and serious person while Nika is much more open with her emotions. He is scared of the people around her and does not understand why she has become such a important part of the situation. Agent 47, however, understands that keeping Nika alive may be important for discovering the truth. This also gives the movie some slower moments between the action scene. We get to see Agent 47 outside of a normal mission. He is still calm, but there are moments where his behavior show that he is not completely without feelings. He may have been trained to become a weapon, but he is still capable of making choice based on his own judgment. I think this is one of the more interesting ideas in the movie because it gives Agent 47 a little more humanity. But before Agent 47 can think about anything else, he has to deal with the people coming after him. The police investigation is becoming stronger, and Mike Whittier is trying to understand exactly who Agent 47 is and why he is connected to the association. From the police point of view, Agent 47 looks like a dangerous criminal who is connected to a major political case. They do not know the complete story, so their goal is to find him and understand what happened. This creates some interesting tension in the movie. Agent 47 has to move carefully because he can't simply walk around openly. At the same time, the people hunting him know that he is exactly skilled. They understand that capturing him will not be easy. So instead of one simple says, the movie become a battle of intelligence between different people. On the one of the things that makes Agent 47 interesting is the way he handles pressure. When normal people are surrounded by danger, they may panic or make mistakes. Agent 47 usually does the opposite. He becomes even more focused. He studies the people around him, looks for a opportunity, and then acts. His calm personality become one of his biggest advantages, and then we get some of the movies because bigger action moments. Agent 47 is forced into situations where he has to fight his way through enemies. The movie gives us gunfights, close combat and chase sequence. These scenes are designed to show why Agent 47 has such a strong reputation. He is fast, accurate, and very difficult to stop. But what I like about this scene is that Agent 47 does not behave like a superhero. He can still be placed in danger and he still has to think carefully. He is simply much more experienced than the people coming after him. His experience allows him to stay calm and use the situation to his advantage. The movie also continues to build the mystery around the political situation. My Mikhail Belikov is at the center of the original mission, but the story makes it clear that there are people behind him who are interested in gaining power. This is where the movie introduces the idea of political manipulation. Different people are trying to control the situation, and Agent 47 become an important piece in their plan. The more Agent 47 learn, the more he understands that killing one person will not solve the problem. The real challenge is finding the people who are responsible for the entire situation. This change is objective. He is no longer simply completing a order. He is now making decisions based on what he believes in necessary. This is also where the movie starts showing a different side of Agent 47. Earlier, we mainly saw him as a professional association. Now we start seeing him as someone who can cushion the people controlling him. He does not suddenly become emotional or talk a lot. Instead, his chance is shown through his actions. He beings to take control of his own situation. The relationship between Agent Fortune and Nika also becomes more important during this part. Nika is not a typical action movie character who suddenly becomes a fighter. He is still vulnerable and she is trying to understand what is happening around her. Agent 47 becomes a protection, but there is also a level of trust developing between them. Their scene give the movie a different mood compared to the action sequence, and this balance between action and character moments is what keeps the movie moving. Whenever the story becomes slower, another danger appears. Whenever the action becomes intense, we get more information about the larger mystery. It is not a perfect balance, but it works enough to keep the audience interested. Now, one thing we have to talk about is mission. The movie connection to the original Hitman video games. Fans of the games now Agent Fortune is a very controlled and mysterious character. The movie tries to bring some of those qualities to the big screen. We get the famous shoot, the serious personality, the professional attitude, and the side of Agent 47 being a highly trained association. However, the movie also changed some things for a Hollywood action film. Instead of focusing only on stealth and careful planning. It gives us more shooting and action. So, if you are expecting the movie to be exactly like the games, you may notice some difference. But if you watch it as a simple action thriller, there are still there are still many entertaining moments. Another thing I would mention is the visual style. The movie tried to give Agent 47 a cold and serious atmosphere. Many scenes have a dark feeling which matches the characters. The locations also help make the story feel like a international mission because Agent 47 is moving through different places while being followed by different groups. As we move closer to the ending, the different characters finally start coming together. Agent 47 understands more about the people who betrayed him. The police are getting closer, and Nika's situation is becoming more dangerous. At this point, there is no easy way out. Agent 47 has to make a final decision and face the people relationship for putting him into this situation. And this is where the movie biggest strength become clear. Agent 47 himself, the story may have some confusion moments, but whenever Agent 47 is on screen, the movie becomes more interesting. His quiet personality, serious attitude, and action style make him a character that is easy to remember. The final part of the movie is basically about consequence. The people who thought they could control Agent 47 start realizing that he is not someone who can simply be used and then forgotten. Once Agent Potson understands that he has been manipulated, he becomes a serious problem for everyone involved. Without giving away the full ending, I will say that the movie brings Agent 47 journey toward a satisfying final confrontation. The different plans began to fall fall apart. The truth becomes clear, and Agent 47 finally gets the opportunity to decide his own path. The ending also reminds us of the main idea behind his character. Agent 47 may have been created and trained by other people, but he is still capable of making his own choice. So overall, I would say Hitman 2007 is a simple but entertaining action thriller. It is not a perfect movie, and the story can sometimes feel confusing, mm, but Timothy Olyphant performs as Agent for some goes the movie its main attraction. The action scenes are enjoyable, the character looks convincing, and the movie has enough mystery to keep you watching. If you are a fan of Agent 47 or the Hitman games, you may enjoy seeing the characters brought into a live action movie. But if you are looking for a very deep story or a highly rela- realistic spy thriller, you may find the movie a little weak in some areas. For me, the biggest positive is Agent 47 himself. He does not need to talk too much to make an impact. His look, his confidence, and his calm attitude are enough to make a stand out. And honestly, that is exactly what we expect from a character like Azar 47. Now, there is still one final thing left to discuss: the movie's ending and whether everything that happened actually works. So, in the next passage, we will talk about the final moments, the performance, the action, the story, and finally, whether Hitman 2007 is worth watching or out. Now, let's talk about the final part of Hitman, but I will keep the ending details limited so we can focus more on the movie as a whole. As the story reaches its final stage, Agent 47 has already understood that the situation is much bigger than his original mission. He is no longer simply following instructions from a organization. Sorry, he has started making his own decisions, and that is what makes the final part more interesting. The people who thought they could control him now have to deal with a person who understands their pain and know that he has been used. The final part being together the different sides of the society. We have the political situation involving Mikhail Belikov, the investigation led by Mike Vihitier, and the connection between Azan 47 and Nika Boronina. Each of these character has a different goal, and Agent 47 is standing right in the middle of everything. This creates a lot of pressure because one wrong decision could completely change the situation. What I like about Agent 47 during these moments is that he still behaves like Agent 47. Even when the situation becomes more dangerous, he does not suddenly become loud or emotional. He remains calm, he watches what is happening, understands the people around him, and waits for the right moment to act. This makes his character feel consistent throughout the movie. The action also become more intense as we get closer to the conclusion. The movie gives Agent 47 more opportunities to show his skills, and these scenes are clearly designed for people who can to watch a action movie. There are gunfights, close combat moments, and situations where Agent 47 has to escape from people who are trying to capture or kill him. The action is not always realistic, but it is entertaining. One thing that makes these scene work is Agent 47's attitude. He does not he does not look excited when he enters a dangerous situation. He looks like someone who has already expected that danger is part of his life. That cold attitude is on the main things that separates him from a normal action hero. But Hitman is not only about action. The movie also asks a simple question: can a person who was trained to be a weapon make his own choice. Agent 47 was created for a specific purpose. His entire life has been connected to missions, targets, and orders. But during this story, he begins to act according to his own decisions. That gives the character a small but important character development. Nika is also important because she gives us a different way to look at Agent 47 when when he is alone. We mostly see the professional assassin, but when he is around Nika, we get a small moment that show there is more to him than his job. He still does not become a completely different person, but his actions show that he can care about someone else's safety. Olga performance as Nika is also useful for the story because her character is very different from Agent 47. She reacts to danger in a much more natural way. She is afraid, confused, and uncertain about what will happen next. This makes Agent 47 look even more calm because we can see the difference between their personalities. Agent 47 is clearly the center of attention. Its performance is based on body language and facial expressions than long conversations. Since Agent 47 is a quiet character, the actor has to communicate a lot without saying too much, and in many scenes, this works well. However, this is also where some viewers may have a problem with the movie. If you want a character with a lot of emotional dialogue, Agent 47 may feel too distant. He does not explain his feelings uh, very often, and the movie does not spend a lot of time exploring his past in a very deep way. Instead, it keeps the focus on his missions and the action around him. The story itself is another mixed part. The basic idea of interesting a association completes a mission, discovers that the mission is connected to a larger political plan, and then becomes a target himself. That is a good setup for a thriller, but the exposition can sometimes be confusing. There are several characters, organizations, political plans, and betrayals. Not every part is explained in the simplest way. Still, the movie keeps moving quickly, so there is usually something happening on a screen. Even when the story becomes complicated, the action helps maintaining the pace. This is one reason why the movie can still be enjoyable as a simple weekend action movie. The movie also has a certain style. Agent 47's black suit, red tie, and shaved head make him instantly recognizable. Even if someone has never played the Hitman games, they can understand that this character is different from everyone else. His appearance become a part of his identity, and the music and atmosphere also help create the right mood. The movie often feels dark and serious, which matches Agent 47 personality. It does not feel like a colorful superhero movie. Instead, it tries to create the feeling of a ranger world where people are constantly hiding their real intention. Now, let's compare the movie's good and weak points. The biggest positive is obviously Agent 47. He is a strong central character, and Olyphant gives him a serious screen presence. The action is another positive. If you enjoy gunfights, chasing, and professional association stories, there is enough here to keep you entertained. The movie also has a simple concept that is easy to understand. At its core, Agent 47 gets a mission, something goes wrong, and he has to discover the truth while people are hunting him. Even though the political story becomes complicated, the main journey remains clear. The bigger weakness is the writing. Some characters do not get enough development, and some parts of the story feel like they are only there to move the plot forward. There are also moments where the movie feels more like a normal Hollywood action film than the careful and strategic world many fans associate with Hitman. Another weakness is that the movie sometimes depends too much on action instead of giving us uh, giving us more interesting details about Agent 47. We know he is highly trained, but I would have liked to see more about his personality and his past. The movie gives us some information, but it does not explore everything deeply. But even with these problems, I would not call it a boring movie. It has a good pace, a recognizable main character, and enough action to keep the audience interested. It is the kind of movie you can watch when you want something simple and entertaining without expecting a very complicated masterpiece. And now we come to the most important question: is Hitman worth watching? If you are a fan of Agent 47 action movies, secret o- organizations, and political thrillers, then yes, I think you can give this movie a chance. Just do not expect it to be perf- a perfect adaptation of the games. Watch it as a standalone action thriller, and you may enjoy it more. If you are expecting a deep story, extremely realistic action, or strong emotional character development, then you may feel disappointed. The movie has good ideas, but it does not explore all of them as deeply as it could have. For me, the movie's biggest success is that Agent 47 remains memorable. Even after the movie ends, you remember the character's look, his calm personality, and the way he handles danger situations. mm, Olyphant gives the character enough personality to make him interesting, even though the script does not always give him a lot to work with. So my final opinion is that Hitman is a decent action thriller with a strong main character, enjoyable action, and a interesting basic story. It has some problems with the writing, some confusing moments, and it could have explored Agent 47 much more deeply. But if you simply want to sit down, relax, and watch a stylish Asian movie with action and mystery, Hitman can definitely be entertaining, and that is what I think about Hitman from 2007. It may not be a perfect movie, but it gives us a memorable version of Agent 47 and enough action to make the experience enjoyable. The movie has its good moments, its weak moments, and most importantly, a character who remains interesting from beginning to end. But before we finish talking about Hitman, I want to look at the movie from another angle because there is more to this film than just guns, action, and a assassin wearing a black suit. If we look carefully at Agent 47, we can see that the movie is also trying to show us a person who can spend his entire life being controlled by other people. He has been trained to follow orders, complete missions, and never question the people above him. But when the situation around him starts changing, Agent Fortune slowly begins to understand that following orders is not always enough. Sometimes he has to make his own decisions. This idea is important because Agent 47 is not presented like a normal hero. He does not start the movie with a dream of becoming a hero of saving the world. He is an assassin and his job is to eliminate targets. That makes him a very different kind of main character. The movie asks us to follow some who normally would be considered the villain in another story, but because we see the world from his point of view, we start understanding his character. Agent 47 also is a very interesting way of dealing with people. He does not trust easily. When someone gives him information, he does not immediately believe it. He checks the situation and looks for facts. This makes sense because in his word, trusting the wrong person can be extremely dangerous. Anyone around him could have another motive, and Agent 47 knows that. This is especially important when he meets Nika Boronina. At first, there is no reason for Agent 47 to completely trust her. He is connected to the situation and he has no idea what information he may have, but as the story continues their connection changes slowly. Nika starts seeing that Agent 47 is not simply the cold killer she may have imagined, and Agent 47 starts seeing Nika as more than just another person connected to his mission. I think this relationship is one of the reason The movie does not feel like non-stop action from beginning to end. The filmmakers wanted to give Agent 47 a little more emotional balance. Without these moments, Agent 47 could easily feel like a character who only walks into a room, shoots someone, and walk away. Nika gives the audience a chance to see another side of him, but at the same time, the movie never completely changes Agent 47's personality. He does not suddenly become a funny character or start talking a lot. He remains quiet, he remains serious, and he continues to behave like someone who is always thinking about the next step. I actually think this was important because if Peasant for someone suddenly become completely different, the character would lose his identity. Another interesting thing about the movie is the idea of control. There are many people trying to control other people, politicians want power, organizations want to control Agent 47, the police want to control the investigations, and Agent 47 himself is trying to control the situation around him. So almost everyone is trying to control something. This makes the story feel like a game where everyone has a different plan. The problem is that not everyone know the full plan. Some characters are only seeing one small part of what is happening. Agent 47 is also given incomplete information, which is why he has to investigate the situation himself. The political side of the story, especially involving Michael Belkov, gives the movie a bigger scale. Agent 47's mission could have been a simple association story, but the filmmakers add politics, power, and hidden plans to make the story feel larger. Sometimes this works well, although sometimes it can make the plot harder to follow. For someone watching Hitman for the first time, I would say I would say the easiest way to understand the story is to focus on Agent 47. Do not try to remember every single name immediately. Just understand what Agent 47 wants and who is chasing him and why he can't simply walk away from the situation. Once you understand that, the rest of the story becomes easier to follow. The movie also does a good job of making Agent 47 look dangerous without making him constantly explain how skilled he is. Instead, we learn about his abilities through his action. When he enters a dangerous situation, he remains calm. When someone tries to surprise him, he reacts quickly. When he needs to escape, he uses his surroundings. This is called showing the character instead of simply telling the audience about him, and that is something I appreciate about the character. We do not need another character to stand in front of Agent 47 and say this man is very dangerous. We can see it ourselves. The movie also uses Agent 47's appearance very effectively. His black suit and red tie make him stand out whenever he goes. The character has a very clean and controlled look. He does not look like someone who belongs in a normal crowd. Even when he's surrounded by other people, you can immediately recognize him. This is one of those characters where the costume become part of the identity. If if you see the shaved head, black suit, and red tie, you already know who is coming. That visual identity is on region as unfortunate became such a recognizable video game character, and the movie tried to bring that same idea to the screen. Now let's talk about the action again, because this is obviously one of the biggest reason people watch a movie like Hitman. The action is fast and stylish, and Agent 47 is actually shown as someone who know exactly what he is doing. He does not waste moment. He try to finish situation quickly and move on. The gunfight are also important because they show his accuracy. He is not shown as someone who simply fires in every direction. His attacks are controlled, and that fits the idea of a professional assassin. However, if we are being completely honest, some of the action is clearly designed for entertainment rather than complete realism. There are moments where Agent 47 seems almost too capable, but that is part of the movie style. It wants us to enjoy watching this character operate at his highest level, and this brings us to the biggest difference between Agent 47 and many action heroes. A normal action hero may be trying to survive a dangerous situation. Agent 47 often looks like he is already three steps ahead. He is not simply reacting to danger, he is planning around it. That makes the scene fun to watch because we are constantly waiting to see what he will do next. Another thing I want to mention is the movie pacing. The film does not spend too much time sitting in one place. The story keeps moving from one situation to another. There are moments of investigation, then action, then a chase, then another piece of information. This keeps the movie moving at a good speed. Of course, fast pacing can also create a problem. Sometimes the movie moves so quickly that certain characters or ideas do not receive enough attention. A scene may introduce something interesting, but before we fully understand it, the movie has already moved to another location. This movie is a Hollywood movie, but it represents the whole fulfill of audience. It is a very interesting movie for the viewers who can watch only action. So finally, Hitman 2007 is a movie that may not be a perfect action film, but it definitely has its own style. The biggest reason to watch this movie is Agent 47 claim his claim intelligence professional and completely different from the usual action heroes. The movie has some good action, a decent story, mystery, suspense, and a interesting main character. At the same time, the political part can sometimes feels confusing, and some supporting characters could have been writing better. The movie also does not explore Agent 47's background as deeply as it could have, but if you are a fan of action movies, professional association, secret organization, and character who stay calm even in danger situation, then Hitman can definitely be enjoyable watch. And the best part is that Agent 47 does not need to give us a big speech to prove that he is dangerous. His action are enough. For me, Hitman is not a masterpiece, but it is a stylish and entertaining action thriller with a memorable main character. So, if you have watched Hitman, let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy Agent 47 characters, or did you think the movie could have been better? And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next movie review. Until then, keep watching movies and and keep enjoying cinema. Thank you. Goodbye. Sorry for my mistake. I am ill, so I can't properly speak. So that's the reason for my sorry.